Good evening. It is Iron Carr. It is my pleasure to be with you again in this evening. It was a very simple meditation. We hope that you followed along with that meditation and that although it is unlikely that you heard the words that were being spoken to you, know that they will come to you in the future, that they will answer your questions and you will receive the help of your guides and your loved ones who are in spirit. By meditating in every day, by simply asking the questions and taking a few minutes in silence, you will eventually get the answers that you seek. Now, I know sometimes for some of you, although you get the answer, you think, no, that's not the answer. That's the answer I want. It's not the answer that's coming to me from my guides or my helpers. But the truth of the matter is, very frequently, the answer that you want is the answer that is coming to you. For you truly know what it is you want in life, and you know what's best for you. It is already there inside of you. The awareness of your own needs, the awareness of what you need to do to make your life complete and happy in every way. These things all live within you. You have been given them from the moment of your conception or the moment of your birth. It does not matter when you choose to think of it, but the answers were all given to you at the time of your incarnation. And so those answers are inside of you, awaiting for your question. And when you ask the questions, and you ask the questions, and you repeat the questions, and you demand the answers, before long, the answer comes to you. You'll suddenly realize you have the answer. You know what it is. And it is only for you to take the actions that you need to take to manifest that which you truly desire and to bring about great happiness, success, and prosperity in your life. Are there any questions anyone would like to ask in this evening? Please speak up. Well, I need someone to unmute themselves and to give me a question.
Yes, hi. There seems to be more and more people sending light and holding the light for humanity. But at the same time, there seemed to be so much chaos, especially in our own country, so much division and hostility and anger. And I was just wondering if you could please speak to that. I feel that sometimes it's not that I'm doubting, but sometimes I sort of wish I had some kind of validation that all the prayers and all the light that so many thousands of people are sending out is really working.
Yes, I understand your question.
I'm not doubting it. It's just so hard every day to see so much hardship and so much pain and suffering.
Yes. Is the pain and suffering in your life, or is it in the lives of others as you perceive it? That is a question to ask yourself, because you see the hostility, you see what you see around you does not necessarily apply to your life. You may not be experiencing hostility, and I certainly would hope that you are not. But even if you are experiencing hostility, that someone is speaking disrespectfully to you, we will say, it is then important for you to speak up for yourself and say, I do not wish to listen to someone who does not respect my intellect, does not respect my abilities to understand things, does not respect my opinions. I understand that you have yours and yours are different from mine, but we can get along amicably. For we do not make the decisions that govern this world. There are those in Congress and those in government, and they unfortunately make the decisions for us. So we need only to create the best life that we need for ourselves. This is very true for you and for all people. You see, because around you, you perceive that which is reported through your media. And the media are part of that which is creating disharmony and unhappiness, for they often exaggerate certain things to give the impression of other things that they wish to convey to yourself. They wish to influence your thinking. And so if you refuse to be influenced, they only try harder and they will they will choose to exaggerate and make things look even worse than they are because they want you to feel in such a way or to think in such a way. And so you need to realize that your ideas, your life is at peace. So you create peace and harmony in your life, and all your prayers are successful, and even the prayers of others. For the thousands and thousands of other people who are praying for peace and harmony, they, for the most part, create peace and harmony in their lives. Their lives are peaceful because this is what they wish. Their lives are harmonious because they strive to be in harmony with other people. They accept other people as they are. They do not judge them. They do not fight and argue with them. And so they live harmonious, happy lives. So do not be fooled by the impressions that come to you from the radio, the television set, the newspapers, from your politicians, that these people are creating disharmony for the purpose of influencing you. And the disharmony is not real. So if you stay harmonious within yourself, so it is that your world is filled with peace and harmony. Remembering that you create your world. You create your interpretation of what is going on, your perception. And you can refuse to accept those words which are not harmonious, which seem to bring about disharmony. Do not accept them. Simply know that you create peace in your world. You get along with your friends. You get along with your children. You get along with the others in your life, your lovers, your friends, your children, your other family members. Yes, there may be some who have a different opinion than you do, but because they are your family members and friends, you allow them to have their own opinion. You do not argue with them. You allow them to have their opinion, you keep on to yours, and you experience harmony between the two of you because you do not fight, you do not argue. So do not pay attention to those who emphasize the disharmony that's in the world. Bring this up constantly. Try not to, you can always try not to watch the television, not to read the newspapers, to totally eliminate these things from your life. Then you will feel only the love and harmony that is immediately around you. And for you, the world will be a much more peaceful, wonderful place. And so that is my advice for you. because this is the truth. Everyone creates the world in which they live. You can choose to live in a peaceful world because you simply accept other people how they are. You don't try to change them. You don't try to make them different. You accept them as they are. You wish them well. You hope they find happiness. And with these thoughts and these ways of thinking and being, you actually create the peace and harmony that you want in the world. And because your world is peaceful and harmonious, this peace and harmony will spread, and others will be influenced to create peace and harmony in their worlds. And peace and harmony will grow. Do you understand?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, you are most welcome. You'll have to resist sometimes the teachings that are out there which try to teach you to be unharmonious. But when you create peace and harmony in your life, you can spread it to others simply by your wonderful example and your peacefulness and your belief that everything will be fine, or your world will always be a happy place. Are there other questions?
Charlotte,
Yes,
can you hear me?
I can, yes, just hear you.
Okay. Well, I guess you knew that my son left for Texas last week to see his little boy. It was his first birthday on October 1st. And unfortunately, he wasn't welcome. So he went to the house and the children were all excited to see him. And she said he is not welcome there. And he had to go to a hotel. She said he had to stay at a hotel and then she would invite him when she felt, it was for her convenience. And so he's been in a hotel for all this time and seeing them, during the day. And I don't know what to make of it. And I'm really very sad about this whole situation. And I don't know how it's going to be resolved.
Well, you do not have to resolve it.
And just let it play out. Is it true that
There is nothing that you can do. It is the girlfriend. She
Yeah.
is not his wife. It is the girlfriend who is the mother of his child, who does not allow him to see his child. And
Children.
so
Oh,
it's
she has
up
a-
to him, if he is supporting his child, to find someone to help him get possession of the child if he wishes to. It is up to him to take action. And if she does not wish him to have possession of the child,
It's two children. It's a little girl, 3 years old, and a boy, 1 year old.
well, he can try
That's
for both
wonderful.
of them
Yeah.
and try to make them to get custody of them, or he can simply allow the mother to have custody. You see, you simply do not have the right, the ability to create or correct this situation. It is what it is for you. You cannot do anything about it. You can be supportive of your son and say, I am sorry that you cannot see your children. I hope that you get to see them soon. But it is entirely up to him what he wishes to do, and to his girlfriend on what she wishes to do.
Yeah, but Texas is so far away. It's like being in another country. And so, going back and forth is very difficult. And he does have a strong case because she has been drinking, and she has been kind of violent towards him. And but then what would he do? I don't know how that would work out, because she lives with her mother and father, who are the grandparents of the children, as well as I am a grandparent. And it's just such a difficult situation. I just feel so
I
bad.
understand. You would wish it to be different, but there is
Yes.
nothing that you can do about it. And so you have to accept it as it is until your son decides to take an action to try to gain possession of the children. This will probably result in
Oh,
a legal fight,
mhm.
and who is going to be successful is unknown.
And it's a no-win situation. It just
It
seems
is absolutely, for the children, it is extremely no win. And so what you have to do is accept that it is this way, and there's nothing that you can do about it. This will bring you greater harmony in your own life,
I know.
just to be willing to accept that you cannot do anything about it.
But you have also said that we are capable of creating our own reality, and that if Danny wants to change things for the better, that is it possible for him?
Well, he needs to take legal action. He needs to do what he can do. It is his decision, after all, that
Right.
these children, I do not know whether he supports his children, provides for them financially.
Yes.
But if he has been doing so, I'm sure that there are legal things that he can do if he wishes to do that. The problem right now is that he still has, I do not know whether I should use the word feelings or desires for this woman. And as a result, he is not yet ready to take actions against her.
Mm-hmm.
He may not also feel able to take care of two children himself. And so he is having a very difficult time of it right now, because he doesn't see how he can solve the problem.
Right. It just,
and how he can make it better.
right. It's
But
very
there is
difficult.
nothing that you can do.
And it
And
is stressing me.
When I speak of that you are able to create the reality that you wish, well, first there is, making affirmations, thinking that things will work out, but you also have to take the action. And sometimes if the actions are not possible for you to, in other words, take the children from their mother because she is an alcoholic, and if she does not always treat the children well, perhaps she neglects them in some way, shape, or form, but it is always partially up to him to take action to try to bring these things to a legal manifestation which will grant him access to his children. He has to demand access and try to get it through the courts that way. And then the final way to manifest something that you like, or to bring about peace and harmony in your life, is to change your perception, to let go of the desire to have these children like him and to be with them. He can do only so much, and to adjust his desires to the amount that he can do and to be satisfied with that can bring him at least, if not happiness, contentment in the situation, because he does as much as he can do. And he can let go of the desires to do more, to have a better relationship with these children. And that is bringing himself into alignment with the situation the way it is without trying to change it, just to make it satisfactory in his mind. That is the second way in which he can change things. Just change it in his mind. The situation will remain the same. But if he can be content saying that he is doing the best he can, he is providing money for the children, for their well-being, he has gone to the courts, and the courts will say that he has the right to see the children if he asks. But he has to take that action, and he does not wish to have to take that action right now.
Mm.
So he has to accept it the way it is, and you have to accept it the way it is, because you do not have any right to change things. You can, as a grandparent, also ask to see the children and be granted that right. That much you can do. Be
Well,
granted
yeah, it would be
visitation.
very difficult for me at my age to go flying back and forth and not feeling welcome there and having to stay at a
Of course.
hotel.
I understand,
Oh,
but you could
yeah.
ask it of the court, and the court might say yes. And then you would have a different problem to figure out on how to be able to, for you to fly there and for you to find a place that you can be so that you can enjoy having the children with you
Mhm.
for a short time, even a
Right.
day, however long it takes. You see, this is possible, but these are different solutions. And clearly, they are not the solutions that you want.
Right.
So
Right.
we have to be happy with what solutions we can create for ourselves.
Mhm.
And that is the challenge for you, to be happy with whatever you can create and you can get.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Thank
Yes,
you.
you are
Thank you
most
very much.
welcome. It is a disappoint. I understand it is a disappointing answer, but it
Right.
is one that is
It's realistic.
metaphysically possible and is possible to accomplish.
Mhm. And children have a way of growing up. And I hope um, around in a few years, maybe things will get better.
They do
But
grow up.
yeah,
Yes.
okay,
And
thank you. Yeah,
he will take whatever he feels he has to take, what
right.
actions he needs to take.
Mhm.
And eventually he will take them if he really wants.
I hope so. Yes, I pray hard for that. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Are there other questions?
Mhm.
Yeah, I have one.
Thank you.
I was meditating a few weeks ago, going into a really deep trance, and I saw kind of like a vision, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And it was like I was kind of like flying over this landscape, and there were these blue hills in the distance, and it was like I had to go beyond the blue hills. So I'm spirit, so I kind of went beyond them, and it was kind of like a desert, not really sandy but like just kind of like bare, and there was like this like stone building like a temple or something, but not any architecture. I go in spirit, and there's look like gold light from heaven coming down into that. What was I
I'm
seeing
sorry,
something wrong?
was not, there was a disturbance in the
Oh,
dialogue, and it gave your voice a funny tone, and I was
okay.
not able to understand your last sentence or so.
Okay, so in this while I'm meditating, I see this like stone temple. I go in, and there's like gold light coming down from heaven into like this little area inside it, and then it's kind of like flowed out, what was that?
Well, the medium has used that type of visualization in other meditations. And usually the temple refers to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the gold light that is coming into it would be the God's light that is part of yourself and is part of you. So that in this dream, you were receiving a visualization, or I would interpret it this way. You can choose to interpret it differently, that you were realizing in this meditation, you were coming to realize the perfection, the beautifulness of yourself as the God part that is part of you. For everyone has a soul, which is your God part. God created this whole world and everyone in it from himself. He brought it forth from himself. And so everyone has a part of themselves which is made of God. Actually, all of you are made of God. But the part that is most perfect and most enlightened is that gold part that came into the middle of your temple, which was representative of you.
Okay, that's wow. Okay, thank you. That's that's interesting to hear. Thank you.
Yes, it is a lovely metaphor
Okay.
that you created to show the truth of yourself.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
You're most welcome. I think if you think about that a little bit and you choose to meditate actually on that golden light, which is part of yourself, you'll begin to vibrate on a level that is compatible with that and will bring you great peace.
Oh, okay, that's a great idea. Okay, very good. I will do that. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Are there other questions? Someone else has another question?
By any chance, I was wondering why there are things in the Bible that say God is a jealous God or revengeful God or warlike or bad guy, basically. Where is that coming from?
Oh, that's coming from the human side of things. Let us put it that way. We are made in God's image, but very unfortunately, while you are in the physical, you have a tendency to make God in your image instead of you being made in the image of God. Now, if you can understand the difference that that makes for people, have defensive habits which often create hostility within themselves. Someone says or does something which wounds someone else, which is insulting, or someone takes a person, interprets as being insulting. And so they become insulted. Now, this can make them mad. This can make them angry. This can make them frustrated. It can make them any way that they choose to react to whatever it is that has been said. And so that creates a vengeful God, does it not? When you create God in your own way, you imagine that God acts like you do. And so that if I do something that is wrong, God's going to get angry with me and he's going to punish me. And so therefore, that is the picture that they paint of God, because they paint God in their own image instead of seeing themselves in the image of God. In the image of God, that person could not take offense, be willing to accept that this is just a reflection of the other person, had nothing to do with him. And so there would be no offense. And there would be no need to have revenge, a vengeful God or a mad God. Do you understand? It is that simple. Because your Bible, although it has been said to be an accurate representation, it still has been written by man. And man's interpretations, thoughts, ideas are all incorporated into the Bible in some way, shape, or form. Now, in many cases, it shows man in his best light, in his best image, living up to that which is best for himself and taking good actions and doing correct things and loving things. But in other times, man does not act in loving ways. And so the Bible reflects those aspects of man because man has written it. And as such, it is subject to man's thoughts, man's ideas, and further, it is subject to your interpretation, the reader's interpretation, and what the reader believes is being said in the Bible. So this leaves great leeway for interpretation. It can be interpreted many different ways. Does that explain it to you?
More or less, yeah. I mean, we were always taught like, the Bible was influenced by God. So therefore, whatever message he's putting in there that, we should get through it. And I'm kind of thinking all the other religious books that people follow probably tried to do the same thing.
Yes, of course.
But yet all of them have some kind of negative, violent stuff in there that like doesn't seem to match with a loving God.
Well, you are correct. And that is what religion teaches you and tells you, is that our religious book is perfect. It explains to us what God wants us to know in perfection. And once again, if we do not believe it, then we are offensive to God. And so that is what religion teaches you, so that you will obey the religion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting thought. For most religions, initially give advice, give you commandments, which are thought to make you a better person. If you follow everything that is said in the 10 Commandments, you will live an excellent life. However, over time, these thoughts, these guidelines, almost become more important than the realization that you are one with God in all ways and that you can live in harmony in your life if you think clearly and accurately. Do not make judgments too rashly or quickly. Accept people as they are. Know that they are truly good and they are trying to do their best to manifest a good life for themselves. If you know all these things, then that is a spiritual life, not necessarily a religious one, but it is, at least it is motivated in such a way as to bring about a spiritual goodness for yourself. instead of just being a law that you have to do this and so. And it doesn't matter what else you do. If you don't do this or so, then you will feel the wrath of the vengeful God.
Mhm. And then there's the, well, infidel, or I can't even say Muslims. They're not really just Muslims. Anyways, the bad guys over there that are teaching kids to kill and telling them that this is the right thing to do, that they're doing this in God's name. And so they're doing something that is negative, yet they think it's positive. So they're doing what they think is right. So things
Yes.
get a little confused that way.
Yes, it is very confusing for children, and it is very confusing for people who try to, who interpret the words in the Quran or the Bible in such a way, or even the Bhagavad Gita in such a way to encourage violence or unhappiness in people's lives.
Mhm. But then the people that are doing the violence believe it is the right thing to do. Like they're doing what they think
Yes.
is right.
Yes, that is true. Many of them think it is the right thing, but many of them know that it is not right.
Mhm.
But this belief allows them to behave in such a way that they can cause harm and difficulty to others without any.
Oh, without being punished by their religion
Yes,
or their
without any
God or
punishment.
whatever.
Without
Oh,
any
right.
punishment.
So they're using it as an excuse to do what they feel like doing.
Exactly. Because
Mhm.
everyone knows that they would not want to be put to death
Mhm.
in some horrible way, as they sometimes do. They would
Mhm.
not want to have their heads cut off. They would
Mhm.
not want to be burned to death. They would
Right.
not want to be punished in these ways. But this now gives them the right and the opportunity to behave in these ways. And so it allows them to feel virtuous over something that they truly know is not virtuous.
Mm.
And I will tell you that most of them truly know that this is not virtuous.
Oh, that's
But there
interesting.
is another thing also. If you are in the vicinity, let us put it that way, you are near and among people who act like this, it is sometimes for your benefit to join forces with them, to behave as they behave, because then you have security in your own life. And so people will do this out of fear for themselves and their children and their family members, also to try and
I,
help others.
I have heard stories like that of even people that they have so-called rescued from these places that have committed the crimes, and that's exactly why they said they did it, just so that they could survive.
Right. So they
I
could
don't
survive.
know what I'd do in that situation. Wow.
Yes, it would be a very difficult situation. And people have to make the decisions that they make in their own best interest to bring about their highest and best good. In this case, it is saving their lives and perhaps the lives of family members, because they are on the side of those who think it's virtuous to kill another person or to torture someone.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it is very difficult, I
rough.
understand. But people, it's a holy, it has been deemed a holy book, and people interpret it the way they choose to interpret.
Right.
It is often, you see that even in your government, people interpret your constitution and many of your laws in the ways they wish to interpret them, not in the ways they were originally written to be interpreted.
Oh, the way they were originally written to be interpreted.
Yeah,
So there is, I mean, it sounds like you're saying the way the laws are written were actually had a good intention, even though they'll say, if you don't believe in my religion, your head gets cut off.
yeah, yes, exactly. They had a good
Oh, wow.
intention.
Oh, my.
Yes. What I'm saying is the people who wrote these things were, I will use the term flawed in their thinking.
Mhm.
And so they wrote things that were not correct. But we have seen this happen many times.
Could you say that even about the people who wrote the Bible and the Quran and the other books that everybody follows?
They all have some good in them, but they are all subject to interpretation, even though there are official interpretations. Does that make sense to you?
What do you mean by official?
Well, the
Who's,
church,
oh,
the Catholic Church on some of the Bible stuff, the Jewish Church, the 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 Muslims.
mhm.
These all have ministers and priests and people who are looked up to as being virtuous in some way, and they give the messages that they give, which are not always virtuous.
Yeah. Wow.
But they are believed because they have been imbued with a certain amount of authority, which they have taken on as ministers or priests or rabbis.
Mhm. It's confusing.
It is. Let us think.
Like you were kind of saying, I mean, really the only sure thing we can follow is what we feel in our hearts, not what everybody's trying to tell you is right or wrong.
That is quite correct.
Mm.
Everyone has knowledge of what is right and wrong. It develops over time. Sometimes that knowledge is inaccurate. Sometimes it is very accurate because that knowledge of right and wrong has been developed through association with adults who sometimes have been passing on incorrect knowledge of what is right and wrong. They are
Yeah.
perfectly happy ignoring the fact that you should do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So there are some people who actually believe it is okay to cheat other people.
Yeah, eye for an eye.
Yes, an eye for an eye, to do bad things because you can, and or to steal things, that this is acceptable and it is part of their culture, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are others who will argue that because it is part of their culture, it is okay to do that,
Yep.
rather than it is still not okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we know, you know, that do unto others as you would have them do unto you
Yep.
is the basis of all things. If you
Mhm.
would have people steal from you, by all means, feel free to steal. If you
Mhm.
wish to be murdered, by all means, murder other people.
Mhm.
They, of course, don't think of those things when they are going about their actions, but that is what their actions are saying. It is okay to murder me
Mhm.
because I murder others. It is okay to steal from me because I steal from others. It is
Mhm.
okay to lie, to cheat, to have no ethics because it is okay.
Yeah.
And you can do it back to me and it is all right.
Yep. I've known people that I mean, to me, were backwoods or whatever, but they were making jokes about so and so stealing something from somebody, and yeah, and so stole this from me, and like it's okay, this is the thing to do. I was just looking at them like, say what?
Yes.
It just was really wacky, but they were all
Yes.
accepting it.
And it really does not make for a harmonious society.
They seemed to be harmonious, but it was a little strange for me.
Well, as long as everyone else didn't mind that they were robbed.
Yeah, apparently they don't. They just seem to accept the whole idea, which
Well, they-
flabbergasted me.
As long as they are happy with that, then in their little group,
Hmm.
it's acceptable.
Yep, that's what it seemed to be. I left.
But let us face it, that will not make people happy in general around the world.
Right.
And that most people, even if this is acceptable, will eventually have had enough of it. And they
Yeah,
will not
makes
be
sense.
happy.
Hmm. Okay.
So, okay, are there other questions? Everyone is born with a set of ethics in their behaviors, things that they know to be right and things that they know to be wrong. And it is possible because we have been given free will by God. It is possible to distort those things which are believed to be right and those things that are believed to be wrong. And it is possible. But these things do not bring about general happiness, success, and prosperity in a world. When you do harm to others, even if it's acceptable, it often makes people angry. And eventually, the society will fall apart into more and more disharmony. Now, you may look at what's going on at this time in the world, or there certainly seem to be many disharmonious situations, that there is more unhappiness between countries, that there are leaders who cause disharmony and try to get more power. And I have talked about this in the past. But as people, as countries, take away rights from citizens, cause everyone to live less happy, less prosperous than it is possible for them to be. When some people are denied rights, that this brings about general disharmony within the country. And eventually you end up with war or fighting, both within the countries, between people, and people create unhappiness in their lives because war, death, destruction does not lead to happiness. It brings disharmony. It brings about poverty and difficult times for all. You saw what even the virus could do to your happiness because it was rampant and attacked many people and killed many people. It caused much disharmony within the country. People could not see one another. They could not love one another. They could not have expressions of love. And this all came about simply because a virus, an illness which attacked people, became more rampant in the country, stronger, more powerful, causing more and more illness. And this is true of all wars, whether it is war against an illness or war against another country. Everyone suffers. No one is happy. And so disharmony begins to manifest within everyone. People begin to ignore their best selves. Stop doing that which they know to be best for all. Become selfish in their attitudes on what they want. And do not share and do not love. These things are all possible. This is what happens. And so it is important that you create love, peace, and harmony in your life. Focus upon your life, giving love and peace and harmony. And if everyone creates the love and peace and harmony within their own lives, then it is that this love, peace, and harmony will grow. Tolerance will grow. And life will improve for all. There was a time after the last World War, although there was more war in your Korean conflict, it was Vietnam, that there have been little wars. But after the big war, most people were so concentrated on just rebuilding their lives, making their new homes, making families, loving one another, that there was a period of general harmony where people worked together to improve everyone's life. And this is what is possible again. And it would be wonderful if everyone would realize that. Work at creating peace and harmony in their lives, extend love to others, bring about peace and harmony for others through your actions and your words, so that we do not have to go, or you do not have to go, through another phase in which there is great pain and suffering to everyone in general. So are there any more questions in this evening? Then, as there appear to be no more questions, I give you my blessings. Good night. I am back. Okay, well, I hope everybody is happy tonight and that you all have a wonderful evening and that we come up with some better questions next time, which are not so unhappy. So just remember, I love you all. Good night.